What's going on, brother? It's me, Mr. Bradford, back at it again. What's the truth is the truth, period. Fuck all this bullshit. I'm back at it again. It just don't make no sense. We being lied to, we being robbed. We as the taxpayers, it just don't make no sense. Hold on for a second. Hello,
Good morning, happy to Mr. John Lawson.
this is him.
Sir, I'm calling you from Amanda Clinic. Would you mind appointment about the study and we can get you referred for um, eyes monitoring?
Ma'am, to be honest with you, ma'am, right now, I don't trust a doctor as far as you can go a doctor. On real. I'm just being honest with you. I just got out the hospital and just for a doctor to try to push on me pain medication that I explained to them that I was addicted to that shit at one time, and that was 17 years ago. I can't get back like I was before, and for somebody to try to push that on me, something ain't right about that. And I'm like, my word don't mean nothing no more. So that means that somebody else is trying to take care of my body, really trying to hurt my body, not take care of my body, because it seems like I take care of my body long enough to say that I haven't been going to the hospital. So the reason why I've been going to the hospital is because of simple stuff. You go to the hospital because you happen to, because I'm always having abdominal pains. That's because of poison from gambling the contract. But as soon as you get to the hospital, they want to put you in the MRI machine and then give you more contract. I can't take it anymore. So I deal with everything the way I do. But I thank you for calling.
Have a good day.
You too. But like I was saying, good people, like I was saying that before we was interrupted by my doctors calling me up to want to know why I ain't set up an appointment to come see theirs, the fucking legal drug dealers. Man, I can't fuck with that shit. I was doing that Oxycontin, the hydrocodone, Xanax, Zoloft, all kind of fucked up ass bullshit that they were feeding me, lying to me, just giving medication to me like a fucking guinea pig. But I can't get no legal disrupted to the point where how can you get any type of justice when the justice system being ran by a criminal organization? This is a fucked up catch 22 that we're living in. I'm just saying, some bullshit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Roseman Kimball. Madam Secretary, um, we're talking about restricting the American private sector from making investments in foreign countries in the interest of national security. Are we not?
Senator, I think you're asking about outbound investment
Yes.
restrictions. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that is the nature.
And sometimes that may be necessary. Am I correct?
I think that's correct, yes.
Um, my question is the Biden administration doing the same thing for the foreign aid that it gives to foreign countries? For example, the Biden administration is giving over $1 billion in foreign aid to South Africa, is it not?
Senator, I'm sorry, I'd have to defer that to a different department.
Well, are we reviewing that as to whether it's in the interest of national security?
I'm sorry, Senator, that we look at technology transfers, and we are reviewing those carefully to determine.
Yeah, but if we give them the money, they can use it to buy technology, correct?
If it is restricted under our regulations, I would say no, sir. Respectfully, our export controls are in place to restrict technology transfers, whether it's goods, software, or technical data.
But we're still giving a lot of, the Biden administration is still giving a lot of foreign aid. What I'm asking is it reviewing that foreign aid with the same national security standards that you're proposing to restrict the private sector?
I'm sorry, Senator, I'm simply not in a position to answer that, but I'd be happy to take it back and continue working with you on that.
The Biden administration is still giving money to the Wuhan lab, is it not?
I'm sorry, Senator. I focus on technology transfers. I'm not familiar.
Do you know if we're reviewing that money in the interest of national security?
I do not. I'm sorry.
Okay, could you give me an answer for that one?
Yes, we will find the right people to get to.
So like I said again, we being robbed and we ain't doing nothing about it. We just going along to get along with bullshit that don't make no motherfucking sense. And myself, I don't know what to do about it. I'm just saying, this is some bullshit. Some real fucking bullshit. On the real. Here you go, some more shit.
Texas is recognized. Any questions he cares to pose?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Boyle, Standard & Poor's reduced the United States long-term rating to AA+. In their report, they say the downgrade reflects our opinion that the fiscal consolidation plan that Congress and the administration recently agreed to falls short of what, in our view, would be necessary to stabilize the government's medium-term debt mechanism. Do you agree or not?
Well, I wasn't here in Congress in 2011, but what I do know is there's no question the reason for that default and the reason for that downgrade was because we came so close to default for the first time ever.
Yeah, and why? Why did we come close to default?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Representative. In other words, the only major credit downgrade that we've ever had was because we weren't doing enough to manage our debt. We never defaulted. There was never a default. It's just they downgraded because we weren't doing enough to manage our debt.
The subsequent quote was making them, quote, pessimistic about the capacity of Congress and the administration to be able to leverage their agreement into a broader fiscal consolidation plan. In other words, they didn't believe that we would do what is necessary to get our fiscal house in order. I guess my question right now, the thing that I'm struggling on a nonpartisan basis, whether this plan does it. That's, I think, the question the American people. Are we actually taking a step right now which will actually make our fiscal strength return again? And I'm asking just a general question, like just quickly, yes or no? Do you guys think this bill, you guys are all advocating for this bill, will this bill, if we pass this bill, is this going to restore fiscal health to the United States of America?
I would just say, in regards to, I would best illustrate it to our country's finances is like the Titanic. And you got to start moving the ship before you hit the iceberg. And this does help us start turning the ship. Does it turn it fast enough or far enough as much as I would be happy to do? But we could probably turn it a whole lot faster if we had a different person in the White House and different control in the Senate. But it does turn it, but just maybe not as fast as all of us would like to turn it.
I would go even further. I think this bill, as I've said repeatedly today, is a compromise that will help us avoid economic disaster. Whether or not we can do what we need to do in order to get our fiscal house in order is dependent on each one of us. I don't think you can say, well, we got pay-go for the administration, but we don't have pay-go for the tax side in the House. We've got pay-go for the expenditure side on the programs, but not on the tax side. So we've got to be able to do everything, and we've got to be able to put everything on the table and look at everything and consider everything and act on everything collectively.
This comes on my follow-up was, I'll go down the line, but you guys have to. Is it your position, I'm asking genuinely, that the current 19.6% of GDP revenue is insufficient?
I don't think I said that. What I said was there's more than one way to spend money in Congress, and that needs to be understood.
Okay. I guess my question though is on the tax side, because I hear a lot of my
Yeah.
tax side. Yeah.
May I address that specific point, because I know you've referenced this in our budget committee before. That statistic is out of date. It's actually fallen to 17.7. There was, for a brief period, it was at that elevated level, and fortunately we're no longer there. It's back to more of the historic norm of 17.7.
My understanding is 1926 level. You can talk about where it is in 2023, but the last data we have for 2022 is 19.6%. And by the way, even if it were 17%, that would be historic average, as opposed to 1926, which would be in line with the high from World War II in 2000. The rest of you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to address your original question around whether this bill helps our fiscal house. It does help our responsibility to manage our finances. However, I will say this: the Limit Safe Grow Act, which I voted for and supported, was a much better bill in terms of getting our economy moving forward and focusing on how to get our spending more under control. And it would be much better in doing that in terms of answering your question.
Well, thank you for that. And look, I think this is an important conversation for the American people to understand. We're not going through, a full committee discussion, so this is going to be about it, right? And we'll get down to the floor if it gets to the floor, and then we'll have, 2 hours equally divided, or whatever it is decided to rule, and then there'll be some speeches.